This is J. Krishnamurti's second public discussion in Madras, 1974.
What shall we this morning talk over together?
Sir, in one of your books, you come across a statement that negative thinking is the most positive. I feel there is thinking and I cannot distinguish which is positive and which is negative.
Just a minute, sir. What should we talk about this morning? Just a minute, sir. You can get up. Don't have to get up, sir, if you don't mind. You can just ask. Just a minute, sir. Just a minute. What do you think would be worthwhile in the sense that will bring about a deep change in ourselves, which is the most important thing to discuss, because it's the last dialogue we shall have here. And what do you think would be the best and most worthwhile thing to talk over together this morning?
The last discussion, you were telling that there is no education at all in this country.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? What's the right kind of education?
Yes.
for the
Yes, sir.
young people?
Sir, last time you pointed out the significance of sleep and how in the deep silence of real sleep, meditation happens and the regeneration of the brain and the revitalization of the body takes place. May I request you, sir, to point out the right way to go to sleep so that the moment one closes his eyes, he steps into deep silence.
So I won't repeat that question. You have heard it all.
Sir, one more question, sir.
Also.
How can I see the content of the consciousness is within the field of time? It is not a conclusion, it is not a formula, it's a fact, it is a truth. But what, so what?
What?
So what? What is there? Abstraction is what is. Then what is the, transformation? Why transformation not take place? Questioner is aware about what is and what should be.
Slowly, sir, slowly.
Content of the consciousness is within the field of time. One can observe it. And questioner is quite aware about what is and what should be. This is not a verbal statement. The question sometimes arises, which is not the word, which is not the description, which is not the thought.
So what is the question, sir?
The question itself is not the thought.
Just a minute, sir. Sir, this gentleman has not even finished his question.
So, the question itself is not the word, not the thought, not the description, not the analysis.
Am I dull this morning? Perhaps. I want to understand this gentleman's question, sir, first. He says the content of consciousness one can be aware of. And what happens when one is aware, so aware, and what is the transformation that takes place? Is that it, sir?
It is a part of this thing.
Slowly, sir.
It is a part of this thing. But
Part of?
Part of the thing that what you are just telling to us. But the question itself is a conflict between the conclusion and the fact.
And the conflict, apparently, to the questioner is the what is and the conclusion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anything else?
What is the nature and structure of radical change?
What?
What is the nature and structure of radical change?
What is the nature and the structure of radical change?
And for all these things, we need effort. Through effort alone,
We need effort to bring about change in ourselves. and we don't seem to have that energy to go make that effort.
Sir, the different problems posed by these individuals, it is because of the different separate individuality we are having.
What's that?
The different problems we are posing is because of the individuality. If we discuss how to understand oneself, then every problem...
All right, sir. I think that's a good question, and we'll take that up and go into it. Is it possible, the questioner says, to understand oneself? Is it worthwhile discussing that? Sorry, I rushed. It's too hot. It'll be under other people's eye. If I open that, sun will come and disturb. How is one, the questioner asks, to understand oneself? What is the process or the method, the system of understanding one's not only the superficial structure of consciousness, but the deeper layers. Right, sir? That's your question, isn't it?
1 minute, sir. Even by asking, only this individual is asking, and that the individual is
What?
the answer.
What?
Yes, even this question itself comes from an individual. And there I am lost, because...
No, sir. Let's keep it very simple first. How can I understand myself? Let's start with that. Is it possible to understand, not intellectually, and non-verbally, but go very deeply into oneself? Shall we start with that? How do you examine any problem, any issue, any challenge? How do you examine it? Here is a problem. I want to understand myself. I keep it at that lowest thing, and as we go along, we will come into it deeper and deeper. My question is, how do I understand myself? What do I mean by that word, myself, and understanding? So, it is important to understand the verbal explanation and be clear verbally what it means. What does it mean to understand? This question, is important because, not the word understanding, but the understanding of oneself is important because one will come to, I mustn't project too much quickly. All right. When we use the word understand, what do we mean by that word? Is it an intellectual understanding? Which is, you understand a word, because English, both of us speak English, if we do, and each word has a specific meaning. And verbally, when you hear, then you say, I understand you verbally clearly. Is that understanding? You understand? I hear you say something. I listen to it and I grasp the significance of those words. Then do I say, I understand you? Or is understanding much deeper? You understand? Is it a verbal thing or a much deeper level? Go on, sir. I don't. I understand that violence is destructive in any form. Violence being anger, throwing a bomb, hitting somebody, saying something cruel, and so on and so on. I hear that statement, violence is destructive. Is that a verbal communication or a communication of truth, which is not non-verbal understanding? Am I clear? Huh? See, is understanding a matter of mere words, or understanding includes not only the verbal understanding, but the whole content of a statement and the action that follows from that statement. All that is included in understanding. I understand when a bus is coming towards me, hurtling along, that I must jolly well get out of the way. There is an understanding of perception, then an action takes place immediately. So understanding, it seems to me, is not only a verbal communication and insight into the words, and the full significance of that implication and insight and action. All that is understanding. Is that clear? Am I? Please do.
Up to that extent, sir, it is quite all right.
Huh?
Up to that extent, it is quite all right.
No, sir. It's not up to that extent, sir. It's a very difficult thing. When we use the word...
Seeing and feeling the truth of the thing.
Yes, seeing, feeling, and the truth of the fact. And therefore, action. If there is no action from understanding, it's not understanding. It's merely a verbal understanding of a theory, which has no value at all, which most people live on. So, I want to understand myself. To understand myself implies not only my intellectual processes, the feeling, the totality of my whole being, and acting from that. All that is understanding, right? Is that clear, sirs? Can we proceed from there? Then what is myself? Now comes the difficulty. There are many philosophers, analysts, psychologists who have said various things, including your own sacred books and all the rest of it, the myself, the me. Now, do you understand yourself through another? You understand? The Gita may say one thing, what you are. The Upanishads may say something. The Bible may say something. Or the Quran, or the analyst, and so on, so on, so on. Do you understand yourself through them, through the books? Or you understand as you are? You understand? Do I understand according to some authority which says, I am this, and follow that authority? Or do I reject the authority and start with myself. Now, which do you do?
But I am a confused entity. If I see myself as it is, I am seeing my confusion itself.
Wait, slowly, sir. Go slowly, please. I am asking you, sir. There is Freud in the West, Jung, and Adler, and several other recent psychologists and analysts and so on, psychiatrists, say the self is this, the me is that. And I have read them, I have listened to them, I say yes, I will understand myself if I understand what they say about myself. You understand the difference? You understand, sir? So, am I to go accept the authority of others to understand myself, or I reject that authority because they might be as crooked as I am, as confused as I am, including the Gita. Huh? So I must start, if I want to understand myself, with as I am. Is that clear? So I have no authority there is no authority to tell me about myself. Is this clear? Can we start from that? You understand, sir, this is a very dangerous thing I'm telling you. What's up?
Reject authority. All along we have been rather bombarded with so many things.
I know.
Come to that stage.
I'm asking you, sir, that's what, unless you put away authority of others who tell you what you are and understand them about yourself, then it's just a phony business. Just listen, sir. Please, if you tell me what I am, and then follow you and say, yes, I'll understand what you are telling me about me, I don't understand. So am I or you capable of rejecting all authority about myself, about yourself? Right? Are you? Including places, Gita, the Upanishads, the Bible, the Quran, the religion, all that. Say, look, I don't know what they say. They may be true, they may be false. I reject all that. Right? What the Buddha said was, etc. I don't know. Wait a minute. Go slowly with this. Do you reject it? Otherwise, you are following somebody else's idea about yourself.
Sir, should there not be a starting point?
Wait, that's good enough, sir. You want to jump ahead without knowing how to run, how to walk. So I am asking you, sir, don't bother about me. I am asking you whether you can put aside your authority which says you are that. Brahman or God knows what other thing. Can you reject all that? Otherwise you are following somebody else who may, it's no meaning. And you have done this. For thousands of years, you have followed somebody else. You are second-hand human beings. Therefore, are you prepared, if you want to understand yourself, the first requirement is that you reject, put aside, because you see how false it is, or you see the truth that following another doesn't help you to understand yourself. Therefore, do you see the truth and then it's naturally gone, finished. All right?
We can make use of the books, even though we may not accept them as authority. We cannot use,
What, sir?
even though we may not accept the books as authority, it is not just accepting them as authority or not accepting them. There's a word in me. We can just make use of them.
Oh, let's make use of somebody else's idea about myself. Why should...
It is not their ideas about myself. They say what I am not what I am. They cannot.
Just a minute. So, do you see the reality, the truth, that you cannot understand yourself with the help of another? No, for God's sake, look at the simple facts. Forget about me. Just look at somebody is telling you this. He says, look, you can't understand yourself if you're following somebody else. That's simple fact. Following, conforming, imitating, using him to find out about yourself, all that is implied. But I'll go on, otherwise we'll spend all the morning about a triviality. It is a triviality, I assure you. Then,
Just like a child who needs the guidance and protection of the parents till the child becomes independent. Children need the guidance of the scriptures till they become independent.
oh, you want to discuss education, is that so?
Child's helpless.
Huh?
Helpless of a child.
But we are... Oh, God. We are not children, are we? We're not talking about children. We're talking about yourself. And yourself, to understand yourself, it's so simple you cannot follow somebody's ideas about yourself. Now let's start. Whether you like it or not, that's up to you. The next question is, what is yourself? Is the self individual, unique? You understand? Individuality means uniqueness. Is the self unique, different from another? Don't look at me, sir. Find out. Are you different from another? I'm not talking physically, of course you're different. Man, woman, dark, light, tall, short, I'm not talking about that. Are you psychologically, inwardly different from another? Huh? How do you know? You see, don't please make statement till you... May I suggest something? Unless you see it for yourself, don't use somebody else's words or agree. See for yourself. Are you different inwardly, psychologically, in consciousness, this me, the self, different from the collective? Huh?
What is the need for comparison?
What?
Where is the need for comparison?
It's not comparing, sir.
We always act with a sense of difference. We always act under a sense of difference.
I am asking, sir. Are you different from the rest of the gang? Whether the Hindu gang or the Catholic gang or the...
So, when I feel the I consciousness
then definitely comes along with my own personality and characters.
So,
I have different.
so you are saying you really don't know, right? You think you are personal, you think you are individual, you think you have separate feelings, you think your thoughts are different from another, and so you at the end of questioning, say really, when I look at myself, I really don't know what I am, right? Would that be honest? Would you honestly accept that? Or do you say, well, I'm Brahman, I'm soul, I'm God, I'm Ishvara, I'm banana, or this or that? Can you honestly and sincerely say, I don't know? See, this is going against all your prejudices, all your conclusions, all that you have been taught. And when you say, I don't know, you are cutting from all that other people have said about you. You get this, sir?
So it's again only the individual who touches.
But wait, sir. First see that, sir. See the fact before we say we go into it. I don't know. Wait a minute. I don't know. I don't know what I am. I see I am the collective. Right? I am a Hindu, I am a Buddhist, I am a Catholic, I am a Protestant, I am inclined to capitalism or communism, this, that, Mao, or the latest, and so on. I am a collection of all these things, am I not? Which is, I am the collective. No? Oh my Lord. No?
Yes.
You call yourself a Hindu, don't you? Brahman, non-Brahman. Isn't that the collective separation? Huh? Come on, sirs, do be a little more active. So, when I say I don't know, I am then capable of examining. If I say yes, I know, I am not capable of examining. Because I say actually, think, feel, and see the reality that I really don't know what I am. Then my mind is capable of examining. It is free to examine because it doesn't know. Do we sasava? Yeah? So, not knowing, I am examining. Not knowing, I examine. You understand the difference? I don't know, therefore my mind is free to examine. See the beauty of it, sir, for God's sake. Right? Can we go from there? Now, I don't know. I'm going to find out. I see that I'm a Hindu. With all the traditions, with all the superstitions, with the quoting the Gita, the Upanishads and the Mandukya Upanishads and so on, which are all collective, traditional thing which has been handed to me, and I'm part of that, right? I'm part of that, right? I'm also part of the collective greed, part of collective competition, collective division as the Brahman, non-Brahman, this and that. So I see I am all these things, right? Do you? Or am I just going on? So I am the collective, right?
It's an inference.
Huh?
That's an inference by another.
Not in the least inference. It's not a conclusion. So you, forgive me, you, aren't you like the rest of the collective? Indian. You are, aren't you? It's not a conclusion, it's a fact. The collective greed has created a society which encourages that greed. It's a collective greed, not individual greed. My Lord, no? Don't see it for yourself, then you don't have to agree or disagree. So I see myself as a bundle of all these collections.
I may be part of the collective.
Huh?
I may be part of the collective. But what is collective greed?
What is?
Collective greed is only an idea.
No, it's not a collective. I am greedy.
I am greedy, that's...
No, wait, sir, wait, just listen, sir, just listen. I'm envious. I'm like envious as the rest of you.
Yes, my envy and your envy and somebody's
Oh, it's all envy.
Yes.
Not my envy and your envy. It's a collective envy.
But is there a collective envy?
Of course. I mean, otherwise, this society would not tolerate a collective greed, collective corruption.
You are adding up the greed.
Huh?
You are adding up individual greed and individual. I am calling it collective greed.
So, no, sir, there are two things. Just look at it. There is this society which is based on greed, on consumerism, which is a form of greed. The encouraging consumer, buy. And that society encourages me to buy. Now, I have created that society. I am the collective. We're all that I. So the collective greed has created the collective society which is greedy. So, do you want to be logical, rational, or just jump? So, I say, I understand this now. I am a Brahmin, I am a non-Brahmin, I am an untouchable, I am greedy, I am this, that, the other thing. All a collective group of people have created a collective society which maintains this greed and encourages me to carry on in that trap, in that greed. That's all. We all read the Gita. Don't you all read Gita? I don't know why, but you read it. And you say, well, Krishna said this, Arjuna said that, my God, how good it is, how marvelous. And go all the meetings where they give you explanations of all this stupid stuff. And you're satisfied, which is your tradition has made you accept that as a collective thing. So don't. No? How frightened you are.
You are the result of the collective.
Huh? You are the collective, not the result. You are part of this collection.
Yes.
That's all. Your consciousness is the collective consciousness. Right? I believe in soul, I believe in the Atman, I believe that there is no soul, there is just a matter of living follow this life and having a very good time if I can. Money, sex and religion include all that. And carry on.
The root of it all is not physical survival, the motive.
Yes, sir, physical survival. Now look what has happened. How physical survival. We all want to survive physically. If you look into it, I don't know why, but we all want to. Now, survival means security, right? Physical security first. Now, why haven't we created a society that assures us physical security? Why? We all want physical security. Right, sir? And why haven't we created this security, which we all want?
Because it is not only physical security.
Wait, I'm asking you, you see, which means you have now moved to a different level. I'm pointing out, sir, look at it, sir. I want physical security. And I can't get that physical security because psychologically I give importance not to physical security, but to my psychological security, which is I'm an Indian, I'm Brahmin, I'm this, I'm, follow?
That is also part of physical security, sir.
Huh?
Being an Indian.
I'm showing you something, so follow it. So, I divide myself against, there is a division as me as the Indian, the European, the American, the Russian, the division. That very division is creating insecurity.
It's a geographical division.
No, sir, it is not geographical. Gee God.
Being an Indian is a geographical division.
Have you been to Delhi or listened to any of the politicians? They are not concerned what to give you physical security. They are concerned with their power positions. Wait, sir. And to maintain that, India is much more important than anybody else. Right? Sovereign government. Army, separate army. Right? So, that very sovereign, separate government with their armies, economic division, and so on, so on, so on, is the factor of division which brings about insecurity for people. Take it or leave it. It's so obvious. Right, sir?
But sir, you cannot avoid it and therefore you have to accept it.
And I want to break it down. I don't want to avoid it.
Okay,
I'm going to find out, sir. You people haven't got the energy to go into all this. I want my son to have security. You don't. You only think of security, a marriage, house, and a job. But I'm thinking of security if I have a son, which I haven't, thank God. And I say, how can I give him total security? Well, you will think about it. Now let's come back. So, I am the collective greed. I am the collective idea that I am an Indian, fighting Pakistan or Germany or Russia, or, follow? Arab and Jew. It's all in the same basket. Right? I mean, is this a fact or not fact? Then, what am I to do? If I am the collective, I am the result of the collective, and therefore I am the collective, what am I to do? Go on, sir, tell me. You are also experts at this, and theories. Tell me, what am I to do? Huh? What, sir?
Become an isolate, break away from the collective.
You say break Are you telling me to break away, or are you telling yourself to break away? Good. Now, how do I break away from the collective?
Question is,
Watch it, sir. This is a marvelous question. Think of it, sir.
the question is whether there is anything in me apart from the collective.
Is there some spark, some factor, something which is not collective? That's the question. We hope there is. We want that there should be, because the idea that I am the collective is rather appalling. I think there must be something in me which is beautiful and fine, lovely, divine, and full of light and joy and glory. And I want that. That's my idea still. That's what everybody wants, which is my collective also. Oh, you don't see the beauty of this.
Sir, why not try and see myself?
What's up?
To be aware that I am part of the collective.
You are the collective, not part. The gentleman says, I hope there is something which is not collective, and I'm pointing it out.
I hope, but the question to be examined.
I'm going to find out. Therefore, I must deny everything that people have said about me, including the spark.
But I can wait to that spark being in terms of the collective.
Huh?
Even that idea of that spark being
Of course,
sir.
sir.
In terms of the collective.
Of course. So, there it is. You have plugged all the holes. So I'm the collective. What's wrong with being the collective? What's wrong? What's wrong?
Because it creates more tension and all that.
Huh?
We see that it creates more tension.
No, sir. No, you are not answering my question. Look at it. Oh, you people. Don't, sir, I'm asking you a question. Please have the courtesy to listen to what I'm asking you. What's wrong with being collective?
That I am fighting in.
You see, sir, this is a tremendous question. Don't just brush it aside. The communists say, you are the collective, and you must conform to the collective demands. And the collective demands are a society which is put in order by the dictator. Who believes in Marx or Mao? Follow? And we say, yes, that's perfectly right. So what happens to your mind that is aware that it is collective?
I am responsible for what the world is and what is going to be. I am responsible.
I am responsible, madam, only when I step out of the collective. Naturally, am I not? If I am part of the collective, what am I to do? To whom am I responsible?
Not to somebody, but just for what it is. Not for the society, for the corruption, for the...
I know. Therefore, I want to find an action which will be total, right? Not corruption or this or that, but it must be a complete, total, whole action. Then I am out of this collective. Because collective is always fragmentary action. You see the difference? Vous avez compris? I mean, you understand? I'm finding something new. Come on. I'm finding it, not you. Just a minute, sir. Let me find out what I'm saying. The collective is fragmentary. Achuji, you understand? The collective is fragmentary, broken up. Though it's collective, in that there is cleavage. That is so. Collective Hindu, collective Catholic, collective Communist, collective Protestant, Buddhist, Muslim, and so on. It's all collective. But in that collective, there are divisions, which is fragments. The collective is never the whole. So, whatever action I do as the collective must be fragmentary. I've found something. I've found something new. Come on, sir. Do you understand my question? Here I am. I'm the collective. And I say, yes, I must break away from the collective. And who am I? But a fragment of that desire would say, I must break away. You follow? So, I see the fact that the collective is always fragmentary. Will anybody dispute this? I wish you would.
Sir, it's like killing the patient in order to cure the disease.
No. You're all gone off to... Sir,
I don't understand what you say.
quite good. That's not a challenge, sir. You're trying to understand what I say. That's not a challenge. What do you say to this? I say, the speaker says, all collective action is inaction. All collective response is a fragmentary response. Right, sir. Take yourself, you are the collective. How do you respond? You are a businessman, therefore you respond in a business way. You are a politician, you respond politically. You are a scientist and you respond in a very limited area. You are a priest, limited area. So, though you are all collective, you are acting in a limited areas, which is fragmentary, right? No, just see the truth of it, sir. Not agree with me.
More than acting fragmentarily, I belong that way.
What?
I belong fragmentarily.
You belong to you are the collective. You are the collective, not you belong.
What you call collective is really fragmentary.
That's all I'm saying. The collective is always fragmentary. My God, I see.
Collective is misleading there.
Huh?
The word collective is somewhat misleading.
No,
Really
sir, I explained very carefully. I don't have to go all over it again. Sir, don't you aren't you the collective Brahman or non-Brahman? Obviously. When you say you are collective Brahman, you are fragmentary, aren't you? Just see that, sir, just see. So your action is never complete. You are acting only as a part, as a division. In that division you are acting. Therefore it's fragmentary. Therefore it's not an action that is whole. Right? That's all. Do you see this? Now, I say to that action which is fragmentary must inevitably cause confusion. communists are acting fragmentarily. They are creating havoc, dictatorship and dissent in dissatisfaction among the intellectuals, Solzhenitsyn and Sakharov and all the rest of those people. There is capitalist group, but there is also discontent, there is things are, and the Catholics with their belief which is breaking down. So everywhere where there is collective action, there must be fragmentary movement, and therefore such partial action, fragmentary action, it can never bring about freedom, can never bring about an end to conflict. Right? Right, sirs?
Am I right in understanding?
That's better.
Understanding that so far as my belonging to the collective or being part of the collective should be just an identity, but I should be a light unto myself all the time.
I am not identifying myself with the collective, I am the collective.
No, that. You see, for example, my name is there. My name is an identity for others to recognize.
My name?
My belonging to India is an identity card rather than...
Oh my God. So I've got an Indian passport, so as to travel, but I'm not an Indian. I don't have to identify myself with the collective. That's a phony answer. I am the collective. Right? We've been through all that. So we come to this point. Being the collective, I have an insight into the activity of the collective. And in the insight says, look what is happening. There are divisions. And these divisions are destroying security. And these divisions, because they are fragmentary, action becomes fragmentary too. I act as a businessman, irrelevant of the rest. I act as a politician, you follow? So I am all the time acting when there is a collective in me in fragments. And being fragmented brings about conflict, chaos. That's all, sir. Now, the next thing is, do I see this? Or is it just an idea which you're going to accept, repeat, and therefore become second-hand all over again in a new phraseology? Do I see this? Do you see this fact? As I see this fact, that is a microphone. It's very... Huh? Huh?
That is the problem.
That's not that is the, do you see it? And there is always a subtle movement to break away from the collective. The spark. They divine something or other which says, I am different from all this blasted crowd. And I must seek that spark, perfect myself according to that spark, and break away. You follow? All those movements are going on. And this idea of the spark is also the collective. Which Shankara or some other bird which I put into me. Now, do I see this as I feel the sunshine, the evening stars, when I hold somebody's hand, do I feel this reality that I am the collective, and in that collective, action must inevitably be fragmentary and therefore breeding conflict, endless pain. do I see this? Now, if I see it, next step, how do I see it? You understand? Now, wait a minute. How do I see the tree? Come on, sir. How do you see the tree? You understand my question? When you look at a tree, as you must out of that window, or a leaf, what takes place? Please do look, examine it. What takes place when you look at that leaf? I'm not going to tell you unless work at it, sir.
The image of the leaf comes in the response.
Huh?
The image of the leaf.
Now wait a minute. What does that mean?
We actually see it, perceive it, when we understand.
No, sir, don't bring in the collective, for God's sake. Now you have learned a new phrase. Oh, for God's sake, what a mind. So you see that tree. Do look, would you kindly listen 2 minutes? You look at that tree. First, there is the visual reaction. And you say that is a tree. Why do you say it is a tree? Why don't you call it elephant? Do, God, you, no, you don't. How extraordinary. You can't even listen. Why do you call it a tree? Because we have been told, biologists and all tradition says, that is a tree, that's not a giraffe. So I look, I see that, and I say that's a tree, which is the past bringing a picture which recognizes the tree. So there is, between my seeing, a screen of words, images, a conclusion that it is a pear tree or a banana or this, that, the other. So these screens are preventing me from looking at the tree. Right, sir? These ideas are preventing the actual perception of the tree. Right? There's nothing where it is. But the difficulty is to look at the tree without the screens. Right? Which is, the observer looks at the tree, the observer says, yes, I know that it is a mango, or a tamarind or other tree, and the observer is the past who recognizes it as a mango and says, it's a mango. Huh? Now wait a minute. Is there a looking without the observer? So that there is only perception, not I perceive. Because, wait a minute, this is very important to understand this, because our relationship, as we were talking about it the other day, is you and I have screens between us. The images between us. They prevent actual relationship, that's all. So, how do I look at myself as the collective? Do I look at myself as the collective, as an idea because somebody has told it to me? Therefore, say yes, I am looking at myself as the collective because somebody else has told me. Or do I see the reality that I am the collective? The reality, not the verbal description of the reality. You understand? The verbal description is one thing and the reality is another, isn't it? Look, sir, when I say the door, the word door is not the door. The word is not the thing. No? Are you going to sleep? So, the word, the description is not the collective. Now, is your mind and my mind caught in the description, in the verbal description? Or you've gone beyond the verbal description and are looking at, feeling, looking, observing, sensing, tasting, all that's involved when there is no, when the word has lost its meaning and the reality is. What, sir? That's just a theory. Oh, for these. Can you do this, sir? Have you ever tried to look at something, your wife, your husband, the tree, or the evening light, to look at it without any screen between you and the thing you're looking at? Have you ever tried it? Have you ever tried to looking at your wife or husband without the screens between you two? You've never tried, have you? Be honest and be simple about these things. So you really are never aware of your wife or your husband. You're aware of the screen. Now, in the same way, can you look at the collective which you are, look without the verbal division? You understand? Without the division of description, without the word, without the observer. Who is the word, who is the form, the name, the past. So this requires a peculiar kind of discipline. You know, the word discipline means to learn. It comes from the word disciple, which means the one who is learning from somebody else. That's the disciple, the master and the disciple. Now, discipline means, the root meaning is to learn, not to conform, not to obey, not to suppress, not to fight, say I must be that, and all the traditional discipline, which is quite different from the discipline of learning. You understand? Now, this requires real inward act of learning about oneself, which you started out. I see, I have realized, the mind has realized that it is the result of the collective. Therefore, it is the collective. Whether it says I am divine, there's a marvelous, timeless spark in me, it is still the collective. Does the mind, your mind, see that it is entirely collective? Entirely, not little holes left where I can crawl in to say, well, I'm divine there. Does it see this is entirely collective? Then, does it also perceive, observe, that where there is collective, there must be division, and therefore fragmentary. And every action born out of fragment must inevitably create regret, pain, suffering, all the rest of it. Do you see this? If you don't see it, apparently you don't, why don't you? Is it serious to you, all this? For most people, seriousness is to have money first, sex, and add to that religion. Be satisfied with the first two and then play with God. Look, don't laugh, this is what you're doing. Now, I make a statement of that kind. How do you receive it? With a laughter? How do you say, by Jove? What does it do to you? So we come to the point that I am the collective. Whatever movement I make, whatever movement of thought I make is still within the area of the collective. Right? Thought is the collective. You think like me. Because you are Brahman, non-Brahman, Catholic, German, non-German, you follow? Thought has produced the collective. Thought has created the division, Hinduism. Thought says, I am somewhere in me, there is the spark of the divine. Right? It's all the movement of thought. And thought itself is fragmentary. Don't agree. Unless you see this, don't shake your hand. Please don't agree. Thought, sir, is the response of memory. Right? If you had no memory, you would have no thought. Right, sir? So, memory is the result of experience, collective, and so on. So, thought is a response of memory stored up in the brain, of experience, and it is the knowledge. Memory is knowledge. Obviously, this is, when I learn a language, it's stored up there, like a computer. Only the difference is the computer, you can program the computer and say, this is your wife, to the computer. And it'll repeat, this is my wife. You understand? The computer can be told or programmed, and you can tell the computer, this is your husband. And it will repeat, this is my husband. But we are also computer. Our minds work on the same line, but when we say this is my wife, I already have her. You follow? I hold her. I don't say yes, this is my wife. like the computer does. It is my wife, my feelings, my sexual desire, and so on, so on, so on, so on. So, I see very clearly, mind sees very clearly, the collective must inevitably be fragmentary. And therefore all action must be fragmentary. Now, is there an action which is not fragmentary? You have to find, if it isn't just listening to some idiot talking about all this, you have to find out, is there an action which is non-fragmentary? Which you have never asked. Which means an action which has no idea, please listen, which is not based on an ideal, which has no belief, because all that is fragmentary, idea, belief, conclusion, ideal are all fragmentary, which is the collective. So I am asking, is there an action which is not collective? The Protestant would say, you're talking absurd, you're talking something irrelevant. You're a bourgeois reactionary. Huh? Are any of you communists here? I'm afraid you're not. Now I want to find out an action which is not fragmentary. Go on, sir, inquire into it. You've got 10 minutes left.
We are only having a means that is thought, sir.
Huh?
We are only having a means to find out the action which is non-fragmentary.
I said,
it is only thought.
No, sir, you haven't understood. I have explained. I've explained that thought is fragmentary. Because thought is a response of knowledge. Knowledge is always in the past. There is no knowledge present. It's always in the past. Therefore, thought must inevitably act in fragments, obviously. Now I'm asking, is there an action which is not fragmentary? Huh? I don't know, so answer, find out. Give your life to find this out.
Then sir, you are positing something beyond the thought.
I'm not positing anything, sir. I've only stated what is actually going on, which is fragmentary. And I see that, and I say, by Joe, is there an action which is not fragmentary? That's a natural question. It's not a supposition, it's not a theory. Wanting to find out.
Sir, by merely seeing it is fragmentary, I am not able to decide.
Oh yes, sir. Which means you don't see it. No, don't laugh. You don't see it. But sir, just a minute. When you see a cobra, what do you do? Because that is dangerous. Why don't you see fragmentary action is as dangerous as a cobra? Why don't say I am unable? Why not?
It has not stung us.
Huh?
It has not stung us.
So you want me to hit you, is that it? Which means society, everything is challenging you, you're not responding, which means you're dead.
The difficulty is that the fragmentary mind it is that is seeing,
Yes, sir.
therefore it is unable to get out of its own fragmentation.
No, I don't want to get out. You see, there is no... Again, I don't want to get out of the collective, because who is it that wants to get out? Still part of the collective. Therefore, I see that. But the next question is there an action which is not collective?
Whenever I have acted without the motive of self-aggrandizement, I find I am acting.
So you are saying an action which is not based on motive is non-fragmentary. And motive is good enough, sir. Motive is good enough. So what does that mean? Is there love with a motive? I love you because you feed me. I love you because you give me satisfaction sexually. I love you because you cook my meals. I love you because you bear my children. Is that love? Don't say no. That's what you call love. Don't fool yourself. So you are saying, where there is a motive, a cause, you understand, a motive, a cause, must invariably be fragmentary. Right, sir? You don't see it. Oh, God. So have you ever looked at flowers? Just looked at flowers? Have you? Have you ever seen the beauty of it? The shape, the loveliness, the feel of it, the smell of it, the color of it, the depth of it, the feeling of it. Have you ever felt it? Oh no. Where do you live? In this world or in somewhere else? So I'm asking you, sir, is love a motive thing that is driven by a cause? You understand?
Inevitably fragmentary.
So, you will tell me that. Do you know what love is then? So, you find out, where there is a motive, there is no love. And where there is a love without motive, that's complete action. You got it? Oh, don't get it, sir. Swallow it. And live it. Oh, that's poisonous, sir. It's like saying, in my hand, one hand in another man's pocket all the time.
Like a statement is not understood. Love without motive is a total action.
Is not?
Is a total action.
Sir, have you ever asked yourself, please ask yourself, we are always acting on a principle, or on a desire, or on some idealistic conclusion, or you are driven by your own lust or passion, or not passion, lust or greed or envy, which all have a motive, a cause, right? Don't they? My wife gives me sexual pleasure. That's the motive. that motive brings a fragmentary action. I love my wife, in that sense, I don't, you follow? So where there is a motive or a cause, there must be fragmentary action. Because motive, cause is a time factor. This you won't go into. No, don't agree so you don't know. Cause, most people seek the cause of something. Which you do intellectually. You seek the cause of violence. So, you are taking time to discover the cause. Don't you? So, you are wasting that energy which has gone into the discovery of the cause instead of tackling violence directly. Right? You get it? So, being collective, any movement within that area, movement of thought, movement of desire, movement of ambition, movement of lust, any movement within that area of the collective must inevitably bring about conflict. Conflict exists where thought, which is based on, which is the response of knowledge, must be fragmentary. So thought has created this society. Obviously, sir. Thought has been responsible for all the religions. Hindu, Buddhist, thought. Not love, thought. Thought has been responsible for the extraordinary things it has done, the technological world, the medical world, the biological world, the archaeological world. Thought has done all that. And also thought has brought about tremendous wars. Thought has brought about divisions. So thought is fragmentary because it's based or it's the response of knowledge. So in that area, in that field, action must inevitably be incomplete. And therefore conflict between each other. Now, is there an action which is outside of that field? And somebody said, I sometimes realize that there is an action without a motive, then I feel it's complete action. Sometimes. I said, is that not a feeling of great affection, great love? And love has no motive. If it has any motive, it becomes mere pleasure. So there is an action which is non-fragmentary. Got it? Right.
The only thing is that we are only traveling up to the perception.
Oh my God.
Beyond that, we are taking us, but we are not entering it.
I can't go into it anymore, sir. I've explained it.
Can't you explain further, sir?
What, sir?
Can't you explain a little further?
What?
Can't you explain a little more, sir?
What?
This non-fragmentary action, which is unmotivated. I'm not trying to repeat what I said. I have this problem, sir. I have acted with passion and with, you may call love, which may be termed within the word love. But that's only part of it. Part of my existence.
Sir. Do you care for anybody?
Of course.
Do you care for anybody? Answer me, sir. Anything. Tree, a donkey, a woman, a child, do you care for anybody? Be honest, sir, for God's sake. I'm sticking down. Do you care for anybody? Do you know what it means? Huh? What's that? Apart from caring for yourself, do you care for somebody? Do you care for a tree, a flower, an animal? Do you care whether the roads are clean or dirty? Do you care if your politicians are corrupt? Answer me, sir. Do you care? Which means when you care for something, you look after it, don't you? Do you care for your body? Do you look after it? Or just eat what you follow? Throw it in. Do you care how your mind works? Do you care whether you love people or not? So apparently, you don't care. What a tragedy it is. Well, isn't it, sir? That none of you who are educated, who have jobs, who have children, wives, you really don't care a damn. And the politicians don't care a damn about you. And you don't care a damn about them. I'm using the word damn, and it's not as a swear word, but just as a... And you don't care for anything, and you talk about love. And you talk about an action which is complete.
Sir, if I did not want to learn that, I would not be here, sir. I want to start, and I have been starting.
No, sir, don't start. Do it. You don't say, I'm going to start about sex. You don't say, I'm going to start feed myself. You eat.
So that's why I said I have been in a state of unmotivated action often or sometimes. I'm doing all the time. That's my...
Sir, look, sir, sometimes I'm good, but most of the time I'm an ugly man. And therefore, what does it mean? Sometimes I'm good. Sometimes you water the tree. In the meantime, the tree dies. Therefore, your sometimes being good has no meaning because you're dying.
So being good is simple, but acting...
No, wait, sir. Being good is one of the most difficult. Don't say it. You don't know what it means there. Being good, do you know what it means? You don't even know you're being good when you are good. So learn from yourselves. You've got all the volumes and histories and the sacred books in you. Learn from yourself.